Okay, so let's look at some different WordPress editors. So we're going to be looking at FL1's own flexible content system, so that's one that we've built. We're also going to be looking at Elementor, and we're going to be looking at Avada. So those are three of the most popular. Well, apart from ours maybe, but the other two are popular, and we like ours. So I think that's good enough. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at our own system. So the flexible content system. So this is our own framework that we put together that has some pre-made layouts. It's got around about 25 different layouts. So we're looking at a website here that uses this system. So this has a very specific style, but the whole idea is that we can tailor this to the style of each different website. But the actual general layouts are generally the same. So let's show you a few. So first of all, here we have accordion styles. So these are typically quite well suited to something like an FAQ section where you might click on the heading. It then shows the content underneath it. So you can see here, click on the heading, put content underneath it. So something like an FAQ or terms and conditions, or somewhere where you've got a lot of content that you want to try and condense it, make it a lot easier to read. Also, we can put things like buttons on. So we've got like a buttons content section. We've got a call to action, and again, that can act in different modes as well. So we've got this acting in parallax mode. So it's like there's two different layers going on. So you see the way that everything scrolls in two different speeds. We've got features, which are very common. So the idea of a feature is that we could have a picture or video on one side, text on the other side. We can flip that as well. So that tends to work quite well for processes or something that you want to walk people through. So we've just got a single feature set up on this page, so nice and simple in this example. Here we also have a feature, but it's styled slightly differently. The difference in this one, we put the picture on the right hand side with a video. So the idea is we can put them into different modes. We've got feature boxes, which again are styled in here. Again, this is quite a specific style, but the idea of having boxes that you can then use to subdivide a page, common kind of idea. We've got custom galleries that we can then click on. That will then allow us to upload pictures. We can scroll through those pictures. There's also an auto preview option that as well, so that's all built in straight out of the box. As well as that, we've got things like grid boxes. Again, these can work in different modes. So you could either have picture at the top, text underneath it, or we can have text overlaying the picture. There's different modes there. Free text, of course, so just standard text put on the page. We can make that full width, or we can make that percentage of the width, which is quite common. We've also got videos here as well. So WordPress straight out of the box will allow us to embed a video, but there are a few trade-offs with that. And one of those trade-offs is the fact that WordPress out of the box, when we use the embedding feature, it actually shows related videos at the end of the video, which is not really ideal, especially if they're your competitors. So we have our own version which allows that to be overridden. We've also got more sizing options around that too. So that's an example of the sort of pre-made layouts that we can set up on a website. Now the main advantage of something like the flexible content is that we can customize that to whatever style you want. We've got full control because it's our code. But moreover, the main thing is it gives you a good amount of flexibility, but it's very simple to use. The reason we use this a lot with many of our websites is it's the 80-20 rule. It means with 20% of the effort, you can do 80% of every customization that you need to do. You've got a lot of pre-built options in there, but the main thing is you get a lot of standardization. So if you've got different staff working on the website, everything will look the same, everything will look uniform, consistent. One of the trade-offs then with using page builders is you've got way more control. That's a good thing, it's also not such a good thing. What you could also have is a hybrid. So this website here is actually a hybrid. You've got two different page builders built into this. So let's show you how that works. So first off then, let's have a quick look at the flexible content system. So how that works then is we've got different banners that we can set up. So we can add in a different banner. We've got different types of banners. So for example, it might be that we add an image banner. We can set what the picture is. That will just take it straight out of the image library. We can also have a mobile version of that image. So in other words, it's an image that's really optimized for a smaller screen. So as you can imagine, you might have a large, wide landscape banner image that will be suitable for a desktop. Mobile, of course, much smaller. So it means that you can have the best of both worlds. We can also pick the content that fits on it, and we can also say what goes into the button. We can add as many banners as we wish, and we can change the order around. Things like a YouTube banner is a similar idea. The difference is that you'd actually embed something like a YouTube video in there instead of something like just a regular picture. We can also have Vimeo pictures as well there, or HTML embedded ones, videos as well. So these are all the different scrolling banners that sit along the top. The main thing is here is that you put the content in, you answer the questions, it does it all for you. So also then within the flexible content, we've got all the different flexible content types here. You see them all laid out on the page, and likewise again we can just drag and drop them and change the order. Just to show you how a few of them work, if we look at, say for example, the accordion, we can add those in, and again it's a similar idea. It's very simple that we just we add in, say for example, where we've got the heading here in the text, we just largely answer the questions, it does all the formatting for you. It's got a bit more flexibility than that though. So within each different type of content, we've got various different options. So we've got some different preset formatting modes here that we can have. And if you really want to get specific, we can go into the styles and we can start setting up things like paddings and background colors. This just allows us to fine tune the layout and just move that item around the page. So we can just actually determine the gapping in between the different elements on the page. To add those in, we just go into add a layout here, and you'll see that then we've got all the different layouts here. It's just a question of literally clicking add, put it onto the page, add your content or answer the questions in, and drag and drop it into position. Very, very quick. The other thing that we can do with flexible content is that we have global content as well. So this is actually content that we can reuse. So if you can imagine, you might have the same thing that's actually going to be used page over page or just within different sections. So rather than doing the same thing on each page, you can just set up some global flexible content and then just bring that in from the global library. So it means you just need to change it in one place. It's then automatically updated on all the pages. So that will make a big difference. So to add some global flexible content in, literally we can just go down here, we can pick the global content, and that just allows us to pick the type of content, and we can just add it in. So this is some global text that we've set up, so that will be defined in one place within here. We can then reuse that across the rest of the website. This website though is a hybrid, so it means that we've got the standardization and the flexibility of the flexible content system, but what if you want to go a little bit further? What if you want full control because you want to do certain special pages that might have a very specific task, like a landing page, where you want to be able to break out of that pattern and have more flexibility? Well, the good thing is you can do that too. So let me show you the next editor then, something like Elementor. So Elementor then is a very, very popular page builder. It has its own theme if you want to go down that road, and that itself is very, very flexible. But also you will find that there's a huge amount of off-the-shelf themes that you can get in places like ThemeForest, and they use Elementor. Now, there have been page builders before. There are many, like Beaver Builder, for example, and Visual Composer. But what's good about Elementor is it really takes that idea and just does it so much better. It's a really, really slick editing experience. It's really well suited to someone that's a bit more visually led. So if you've come maybe from a Wix background or Squarespace or something along those lines, you're a bit more visual and you don't mind a slightly steeper learning curve, but you do get the benefits of having much, much more control over the page. Word of warning though, you get much more control over what's going on the page. That can mean that then you can end up with lots and lots of inconsistencies across your different pages, because literally you're going to be building out every page every time. So sometimes the standardization might be at risk here, but the trade-off is then you get flexibility. So principally then, the way that Elementor works, it's a page builder that sits over the top of WordPress. Let's have a look. So if I then drop into Elementor, what happens is you see that it really changes the experience. So what we have here then is we have the Elementor page builder. We've got all of our same layouts, but we can add on all of our different sections over the top of that. So for example then, I've got things like spaces, maps I can add in, content sections, I can add in different column layouts. Say for example, I might want 3 columns, 3 rows. I've got a whole ton of different kind of pre-made widgets I can add in here. Now what you will find then is when you're adding in things like the different sections, you've got a lot more customizability over those different sections. You can group them together, you can change style, you've got control over overlays, borders, shapes, typography, effects. You can even go as far as changing things like margin, padding, motion effects. Very, very, very powerful. But then again, not for the faint-hearted. If I'm completely honest with you, this tends to be a very, very good tool for people who are very, very comfortable using these kind of tools and graphics packages. It's actually a very, very popular platform with web designers themselves for building sites for their clients. So again, your trade-off is you get all the flexibility, but you've got a lot steeper learning curve to get on with something like this. So not suited to everyone, but certainly a very, very, very powerful package. Okay, let's have a look at Avada. So Avada is our tool of choice for, if you like, pre-made themes. What we like about Avada is it's massively flexible, but also we can pre-make so many of these different layouts. So you've got all the elements, if you like, that you can do with something like Elementor. Plus, again, you can pre-make so much, so it's a really, really effective engine together. Again, you've got the similar kind of constraints and sort of things to consider that you would with Elementor. You get much more editing flexibility, so sometimes with that, standardization can be a bit of an issue. And again, a steeper learning curve, but a very powerful editor to use. So here we've got a simple example where we've put together something that uses some equivalent, if you like, of our flexible content system. So we've got buttons set up here, we have calls to actions, content boxes, all different styles. And again, we can control all of these styles. We can control things like the borders, radiuses around them, margin padding. Similarly, it's a good, very visually led tool that gives us an enormous amount of flexibility. So here we've just got a very simple example that puts all of this together. But we can go an awful lot further with that. So we can use tools like, say, for example, Layer Slider. So if we literally look at this page, all this here is just using something like Layer Slider. So these are built-in tools that allow us to do animations like this, which I think you probably agree is pretty impressive. So these are all then tools that are actually built in using Layer Slider. So we can build all these animations in just using this kind of functionality. And this is not custom stuff we've built, we're just literally just using pre-made tools that give you a huge amount of dynamicity. I had to struggle with that word. But again, a very powerful engine here. Okay, let's have a quick look at our slightly simpler page. So if I go back to pages here, and if I look at, say, for example, the Avada elements here, if I do a quick edit, then we can have a quick look at how it all works. So again, likewise, we've got different containers. We can then set up blocks within that, columns, and then we've got different components that we can add on to those. We can then edit the text within those. Again, set up columns, layouts. We've got lots and lots of different components that we can add in here. It's a much more kind of block-driven layout. So not quite as visual as Elementor, but just as powerful. So there are sort of similar tools, if you like. Again, we can see here we've got different tabs, all the different elements on here, but we've also got different options in terms of layout here. So we can change the actual configuration of the page, add in sidebars, change the content, change the sliders, add the header around. We've got many more features in here. So very comparable, if you like, in some ways to something like Elementor. So either way, between the three editors, there's a huge amount of flexibility. Or you could maybe consider a hybrid approach, something like the Elementor plus flexible content approach. Then you've got the best of both worlds. Anyway, so three editors, all good in their own ways. If you need any advice, get in touch.